G'day, it's Pete here, and I'm back for another daily dose. Now, today we're going to be talking about how good is sacrificing. So, before I get into it, what is a sacrifice? Okay, so a sacrifice is when the opponent's bid a game or possibly a slam, and you want to bid over it, knowing that you're going to get doubled and go down, but you think that the score you're going to get is a smaller bad one. So making sure you get a negative score, but hopefully it's less than the one they're going to get for their big bonus. Now, for sacrificing, sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's a terrible idea, but it's important to know when these are and a little bit more about it. So, to get into it, we'll just look at what the scores are for sacrifices at different vulnerabilities, because vulnerability matters a lot. Okay. So, the four different vulnerabilities: unfavorable, where we're vulnerable, they're not; favorable, where we are not vul and the opponents are vulnerable; all vul and nil vul. Now, first of all, sacrificing at unfavorable is a terrible idea. It is almost never done, pretty much ever. It might be done accidentally, but it's never really done on purpose. Now, if you're sacrificing vulnerable against not, you need to go just down one. Okay, so if they bid 4 hearts and you bid 4 spades and get doubled, you need to make exactly 9 tricks. If you're doing this at a favorable vulnerability, you can go down 3. You only need 7 tricks. All vol or nil vol, you only need 8 tricks. You can go down 2. Okay, so sacrificing at unfavorable is a very small window. Most of the times that you'll do it is when you bid it expecting to get doubled and go down. Whereas if you're sacrificing versus slam, there's a bit more of a window. Down 3 for unfavorable. So if the opponent's bid 6 hearts and you bid 6 spades over it, you need to make 9 tricks. Not so easy when they're making slam, but it does happen from time to time. Whereas if you're favorable, down 6, all vol down 5, and nil vol down 4. Now, for the favorable and all vol, these were worked out if the opponent's bid a major suit slam. If they bid a minor suit slam when they're vulnerable, it's 1370. So that you can't go for 1400 anymore. So you need to drop them down by 1 if it's a minor suit slam you're bidding over. Anyway, so they're the scores that you want to measure. And it's important. At unfavorable, you just really don't consider sacrificing. You can try and bid to make, sure, and get doubled and go down. But if you're sacrificing, generally don't do it when you're unfavorable. Whereas you can consider a fair amount of the time when you are favorable. So when should you actually be sacrificing? Okay, so first of all, you want to be fairly sure that the opponents are making, or otherwise you've just took insurance and made sure you get a bad negative when you could have got a positive. Now, it's a risk sometimes worth taking if you're reasonably confident that they're going to make and that the sacrifice will be a good sacrifice. Like, if you're going just down 1, not volt, it's minus 100, and if you had a choice of plus 50 or minus 620, and that was like a 50-50 thing, it's not the end of the world when it was a wrong decision. But you want to be pretty confident that the opponents are going down when you do choose to sacrifice. The other thing is, try and count your tricks. Usually I try and work out how many tricks I'm going to get, and then I start pulling out my fingers and trying to work out how many I'll actually go down. They're the main 2 considerations you want to do when you're thinking about sacrificing. Another one is sometimes the opponents are in game and you try and sacrifice, and now they get to reconsider and now bid slam. So if you know that you have no defense against slam, sometimes you want to sit there and think, what will I do if they then bid slam? Do I have to then sacrifice again? And is it a good sacrifice at the 6th level as well? Often a tricky decision. In general, sacrificing, don't do it unless you're sure. At the 5 level and 6 level, it's often very costly and tricky to tell, and more often than not the best. If you're bidding 4 spades over 4 hearts, this is actually a really good time. Most people call that a transfer, like 4 hearts, a transfer to 4 spades between opponents. because it's so often right no matter what the vulnerability is if they're having a little contested auction. So that's the one time you really do consider bidding on over it. Other times, sacrificing, you want to be very cautious if you're not sure. Don't really do it with balanced hands. They don't often work. But the other ones, don't do it unfavorable. With balanced hands, try to avoid it unless you're absolutely sure it's certain. If you are going to do it, try and count your tricks and make sure that you're that you believe that they are actually going to make it. Sacrificing when they're going down is a terrible feeling, one you really want to try and avoid. The only sacrifice that you really should be aware of is bidding 4 spades over 4 hearts, because that comes up a lot. So if you have a spade fit, the opponents have a heart fit, and you both get in their bidding, it's very often that you do want to bid 4 spades. Anyway, that was today's Daily Dose on how good is sacrificing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.